Please come in.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Madhur. Please take a seat.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon, Madhur. Please take a seat and quickly introduce yourself to the board.
Sir, my name is Madhur Kumar Shakya. I am from Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh, from where I have done my schooling. I have done my graduation from IIT Delhi. Thereafter, I have worked in a startup in Bengaluru for around 2.5 years, and after which I am preparing for a civil services examination.
Okay. Sir.
You did course in textile technology. Madhur, what are the issues in textile industry, which is kind of challenges for our?
Sir, first major issue is the fragmentation of the sector. There are a lot of small industries and their linkages with both backward and forward linkages are not that established. Okay. And so second reason is the infrastructure, specifically the technology uptake, especially the MSMEs which are there, the technology uptake in them in textile is not good. Third is the skilling of our manpower. They lack adequate skilling, because of which our competitiveness is suffering. And so fourth, I would say the export sector in textiles has not been realized up to its potential extent.
So what is your opinion about raw material? The kind of fiber we are getting, the kind of cotton we are growing in India, the varieties.
Sir, in India, we are majorly growing short staple and medium staple cotton. And for quality purpose, we import lot of long staple cotton.
So that is the one issue actually. We should have some import substitution varieties in Chavan. What about environmental issues?
Sir, textile industry is said to
highly polluting.
Yes, sir. It is
so
20% of overall water waste it is generating.
That is one thing. Secondly, waste. Otherwise, waste also is bad. So how do we handle it then?
Sir, with respect to raw materials, I would say that man-made fibers and man-made yarn should be focused. And with respect to cotton specifically, we have to start seeing through the various genetic breeds.
How can we make it a net zero industry?
Sir, we have to work on multiple extents. First of all, the energy which is consumed in textiles sector, that energy through renewable energy and energy efficient machines, that can be curtailed to some extent. And secondly, sir, if we are air pollution and sewage pollution which is being done through these textile industries, their treatment through sewage plants, etc., because sewage treatment is the issue currently in India. So that can also be looked at.
But chemical are really dangerous. How do we handle that?
Sir, firstly, we have to promote natural elements. For example, in coloring.
Okay, one thing, natural.
And secondly, this is the input part, natural elements. And then when we are using it, then at the handling part can also be improved, specifically the treating and proper decomposition and proper addressal of these waste, so that human and environmental damage is minimized.
Okay. You are cooking Indian dishes. How do you define that this is the Indian dish or this is not Indian?
Sir, yes, sir. Today,
which one is Indian dish? And we'll have some literature that this has come from Persia or this has come from. Why pizza is not Indian dish?
Sir, its origin of.
How do we define?
Sir, in a globalized world, it is really very difficult. But there are some key, I would say, parameters for Indianness, which is there are a lot of Indian masalas which are used, which are generally, for example, pizza also. Its Indianized version is using a lot of masalas and maybe cheese on it. So that Indianizes it. Then cooking method also Indianizes it. For example, this oven and microwave system, it traditionally we were not
Chicken curry is Indian or
sir, chicken curry, according to me, it is Indian in nature.
okay?
Chicken tikka masala.
Sir, yes, sir. Masala, a lot of masalas are used in it. So I think it is Indian.
Read up about it. It's Britain's national dish. It was invented in, it is as Indian as, well, gobi Manchurian. It's not. It's a UK dish. Gobi Manchurian is an Indian dish. Chicken Manchurian is an Indian dish. Please carry on.
Okay, thank you.
Madhur,
Yes, sir.
what is your father doing on business? What business he is doing?
Sir, he is a agriculture consultant. So basically, he deals with a lot of farmers. He advises them on the usage of what type of seeds and what type of fertilizers can be used. So he is,
There is a consultant for agriculture also. Very good.
yes, sir.
So he works in villages, a particular village, or he goes to various places?
He goes to various places nearby the Bareilly district only. The rural areas he visits regularly.
So what type of advices he gives? If any specific advice like farmers of Bareilly, what advice he will give to them?
Sir, the most prominent thing is the lessening the usage of chemical fertilizers and using basically they are efficient uses because there is a lot of like more than a required amount is used in fertilizers specifically. So that he advises, and he also advises to grow a lot of fruits and vegetables because there is a lot of wheat orientedness and paddy orientedness in the region.
So he gives advice about technology, use of technology in agriculture, any specific new technologies which are coming up, how to use them for agriculture, increasing agriculture productivity or so.
So, specifically with respect to my father, so he is not currently involved in this technological intervention which are happening, but yes, nano urea, etc., which is also a technological
Where
intervention.
he gets all the knowledge? Has he joined some agriculture?
Yes, sir. Basically, he has joined a company, not company. Basically, it is a sort of startup wherein he with the members of the with all the members who have their background with respect to agriculture. They basically together they discuss things with experts, etc., and then they frame.
There is
their-
another institute, big institute is located in Bareilly, national level, which is also associated indirectly with agriculture sector. Are you aware of that? Have you heard about IVRI?
Yes, sir. IVRI is
Have you
located.
visited it?
Sir, I have not visited it, but it is a very
It is a big,
prominent.
very old institute.
Yes, sir. Very prominent. Very
Can you
old.
name any 2-3 major achievements of IVRI?
Sir, sir, I am not, I have to read about it.
Okay, no problem. You tell me, these days people say that our parliament is being bypassed. Do you agree with this statement? Many critics say that parliament is being bypassed. What do they want to communicate by this statement?
Sir, by meaning that parliament is being bypassed, they, as per whatever I have read, they seem to suggest that parliament, the issues and laws are not adequately debated in parliament.
How they are being framed? What is the 1, 2, 3 points? Not much. Suppose a law is brought, bill is brought in the parliament. What is the process?
Sir, firstly, the bill is introduced in either Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha.
They have to take the permission of the parliament before introducing it, or a minister can directly introduce it?
Sir, the leave is asked from the chair. The permission is asked from the chair. Then it is introduced. And then this introduction is the first reading of the bill. Then in the second reading, the bill may be referred to the standing committee or the select committee, or it may be discussed in the house. And then there is a third reading in which the bill is passed. Basically, any amendments can be moved in the second reading, not in the third reading. And then the bill goes to next other house, and same procedure goes there, and then it goes to President of India for SC.
Suppose a certain bill is passed by one house, other house suggests some amendments in it. Then what will be done?
Sir, in case of ordinary bills, if there is dispute with respect, if other houses is not accepting the opinions of the first house, then either the life of the bill will finish or there will be a joint session. Joint session can be called.
When was the last joint session called? Are you aware when we had a joint session on any particular major law?
Sir, as far as I know, sir, in 2002 it was called. Sir, law I am not able to recall.
No, this in 2017, GST?
Sir, according to as far as I read, the joint session wasn't called. It was the basically the launching was done at a midnight ceremony, but the passage of the bill, it both houses passed them individually. The bill, the GST bill.
Okay. You tell me next thing. Now, you have opted for pole science and international relations, no?
Yes, sir.
In international arena, what is the position of China economy at the moment? How China is doing?
So of late, there have been a stagnancy with respect to China. No, basically, its expected growth rate is coming down. So that is the issue there. Specifically with respect to its population also coming down. So consumption is coming down in the domestic market, and that is impacting its economy.
The only internal factor or external factor also?
Sir, there are external factors also.
What?
Because, sir, after COVID-19 specifically, most of the countries of the world are following China plus one strategy. Because of which lot of manufacturing companies, they are moving outside of China. So the manufacturing hub which China had, it is getting impacted now.
Has India benefited in any manner by this?
Sir, India has benefited, but the level of benefit which India could have achieved, India is not able to achieve.
Any international company shifted from their manufacturing from there to our side?
Sir, I could not recall any major company, but this semiconductor plant.
Apple has shifted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, Apple has opened its.
So what else?
Sir, then with respect to semiconductors also, now many companies of semiconductor, recently only this agreement was signed, and now the cabinet approved the establishment of semiconductor fabrication unit along with international companies. So that is a representation of China plus one strategy only.
Recently, our Niti Aayog came out with household consumption exercise, and they say our poverty has come down to below 5%. Do you agree with that? Or there is some more research need to be done?
Sir, currently the consumption data, it has shown that the expenditure on food, the share of expenditure on food is declining, but we are still to judge whether it is because of inflation or because of quantity. And more data will be released by the NSO with respect to consumption in next few days. But sir, currently it will be not correct to say that outright argument to make that poverty has declined. But yes, in last few years poverty has declined, specifically
there is another multi-dimensional poverty index also released by NSO or our Niti Aayog. What is the difference? What is the difference between the two? Which is more reliable?
Sir, Niti Aayog released multi-dimensional poverty index. Sir, multi-dimensional poverty index, Niti Aayog it has done very specific research on MPI. Then only it has come with the research. So I think that index is more.
According to which, what is the percentage of poverty? People below poverty line? Last question.
Sir, it was around 11% for financial 23.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madhur. So you've done textile engineering. Why have we not emerged as a textile manufacturing hub like Bangladesh, Vietnam? But nobody is coming to us here. Any reason for that?
Ma'am, there is lack of economies of scale in case of India. Specifically, like for example, in comparison to Bangladesh, our power cost is large and our labor cost is also large. And plus, Bangladesh has more number of average workers per industries in comparison to India. Because,
Vietnam.
ma'am, the infrastructural growth in Vietnam has been good in comparison to India. So it has provided a lot of forward and backward linkages, which in India is lacking right now.
But do you think we could be a hub?
Yes, ma'am. I strongly believe that we could be, specifically after the issue of fragmentation, like is being targeted through schemes like PM Mitra. I think that will help us in reaching to the economies of scale. So it can be a good point for India.
What about our handloom industry? How are we doing? How are our traditional weavers, in this new context of globalization and everything being done, automation?
Ma'am, our handloom industry, it is around 20 billion industry, but whole textile industry is about $150 billion industry. So in comparative terms, there is a lot of scope there. And so there are basically a lot of regions in India which are independently doing work for handicrafts, because it is very region oriented industry. For example, a region's fabric is famous, so that is not able to get a export potential because of fragmentation here also. And plus the technological input is also not good here. So these both things I think needs to be addressed, but there's a lot of scope specifically with respect to international market.
So this is an area need to be worked upon, and all our Indian designers have come of age, have they? Do you agree we have a lot of Indian designers in the country now? Are you aware?
Ma'am,
No?
with respect to
Okay.
designers, I'm not.
No worries. So you studied international relations. What is India's foreign policy objective?
Ma'am, India's foreign policy objective is to ensure that that it there is economic prosperity, protection of its sovereignty and integrity and security, and it becomes an active participant in the global development.
So we see ourselves as global players now. Yes. And we want to have a permanent seat in the UN Security Council. What do you think our chances are?
Ma'am, chances are, as per chances, practically it is very difficult because China is putting a hurdle again and again. But India is a perfect candidate, the eligible candidate here, because first of all, it represents around 17 to 18% of the population, and not representing such a wide population in the global affairs, specifically permanent membership, it will not be fair. And secondly, India is presumed as a very neutral power, so it will also, to large extent, be able to handle the bifurcations or the bipolarity in the UNSC permanent membership which we have. So it will give more legitimacy to the council and the working of the councils and the UN at large, India's membership.
But is it as easy as that to accept this argument in geopolitics, right? So what more do we need to do to push this?
Ma'am, firstly, as we are already doing the Global South's engagement and talking about their issues at the world stage, that is one thing which India is doing. And secondly, with respect to all the P5 members, including China, the communication and engagement should continue, especially with respect to the convergences, for example, climate change, etc. And thirdly, India has to continue through its all regional forums in which it is a member to create a consensus. For example, in BRICS, there was a consensus on reforms of multilateral institutions. So if such kind of consensus through regional bodies is shown, then it will have a more effect on the voice of all regions that India should get. There should be multilateral reforms primarily.
Okay, my last question, G7 and G20. Which one do you think plays a more important role in global affairs?
Ma'am, I would say G20 because now G20 represents a large economy, a large population, and along now because African Union has also come into being, come into its member, so there is more representation here. So the global issues like food security, climate change, etc., can be dealt like more.
So G7 becomes redundant?
Ma'am, according to me, it will be very early to say it has become redundant because it is still there's a small number of countries there, but economically and trade-wise, they still remains a dominant player, and they being a democratic countries also they create a pressure on China also because most of their outputs, whatever their agreements come in, they are targeting China. For example, this Build Back Better World initiative. So that way they are relevant in ensuring that polarity remains on the world stage.
Thank you.
Madhur Kumar, correct? So, your father was an agricultural consultant, and you being a political science student, just tell me this statement, how far this is true or you agree with this. The best thing and the most important, greatest favor that government can do to the farmers is to get out of its hand.
Sir, it is with respect to the government's role and active support which is it is given to agriculture sector through a lot of initiatives. What I believe, sir, governments. So at the end point or the final long-term solution is the governments should give more way to private sectors and market economy here. But it is also true that as of now there is a lot of distress in the sector, and government needs to support the cooperatives, the self-help groups, the research and development in agriculture sector. Once this is established, then only government can gradually withhold its more direct intervention in the sector.
So you think it is because of the government support it is become distressed, or is it distressed and therefore government is support?
Sir, so initially government supported it because of distress and large population dependent, but ultimately, sir, because there is more protectionism in the sector, so ultimately private sectors as of now fear to take initiatives in the sector. So it is also acting in a some way the policy instability is there because of a lot of changes in policies like export duties, etc., which rises. So it affects the sector, the private participation.
Okay, something related to this. Do you think socialism is still relevant, and is it time that we should remove it from the preamble of the Constitution?
So socialism is a very wide term, and in India we mean by it the Gandhian socialism, which says that there should be self-sufficiency, everyone has right, everyone has proper economic progress, etc.
So 1950s we adopted Gandhian socialism? You mean Gandhian model of development?
No, sir, it was not Gandhian model of development. There were so it was a mixed sort of development. Various Gandhian point of views were also incorporated, but ultimately it was very different. We call it as Nehruvian model. But sir, socialism remains relevant from the perspective that there is poverty, there is distress in few sectors. So from that perspective, it is relevant.
Okay. So another question. Some states are adopting two-child policy for various government schemes or jobs or for other things. On the other hand, very recently one of the veteran politician, Chandrababu Naidu, have you heard of him? Yes. So he is giving schemes and incentives to have 3-child, 4-child in the election campaigns. So how do you see this contradiction?
Sir, this contradiction can be due to regional differences between the fertility rate. But what I believe, sir, this policy of very explicit policy of limiting population is not relevant, considering that we are already at 2.0 fertility rate, and even in states like Uttar Pradesh, it is declining. So a very directed policy intervention would be not a good idea, according to me. It should be more towards the health, maternity health, support to maternity health, and women empowerment, which can help us in managing our population better.
One last question. What India is doing to strengthen its maritime neighborhoods relations?
Sir, a lot of initiatives India is pursuing. For example, there is this Colombo security dialogue for our security. Then the Sagar doctrine, which India follows, under which India is a first responder in the region in case of crisis, HADR crisis. Then India has also signed a lot of free trade agreements, for example, with respect to Mauritius, etc. Then with countries like France, etc., this IFC monitoring center, the Maritime Monitoring Center's headquarters has been established in Gurgaon. So that is also India is doing. So both from the perspective of its hard power also, and from the perspective of soft powers, India is doing actions here.
Okay, thank you.
Quick quiz. When late Queen Elizabeth was getting married, a piece of textile was presented to her, to which the Duke said, "Go and lock it up with the crown jewels. It's the most expensive piece of cloth we have ever had." What was that piece of cloth?
Sorry, sir, I am not aware about it.
Gandhiji's self-woven piece of cloth. Small scarf, that's all it was. Okay. The second one is, you see, silk, the traditional way of silk production required boiling of those pupa along with the silkworm inside. It was admittedly a very cruel way. And if I may be very mercenary about it, not a very profitable way. Right? So what is the change which has been brought about now?
Sir, the concept of ahimsa silk is there, in which basically the pupa is not killed. It is through a little bit of destruction of the cocoon, it is allowed to come out, and then the remaining this fiber outside it is being.
Which part of India was it first introduced, this ahimsa wala?
Sorry, sir, I am not aware about it.
Karnataka silk, Assam silk, Bihar silk, where? Okay, pad lijiyega. Okay. All right. In the G20, recently concluded G20 summit, some pieces of apparel were presented as gifts to the visiting dignitaries. Which ones can you tell me about?
Sir, I am not very sure about it.
Take a guess.
Sir, there was one from Kutch region. I am forgetting its actual name, but Kutch, there was that I can recall.
Or something from silk. Anyway, read up about it. Okay, silk scarves were given with a certain motif from a certain region. All right. Okay. Lastly, since we are at it, all right, I think we'll end the interview here, since I have interviewed you earlier also. Okay, all the best. Carry on.
Thank you, sir.